There needs to be a revolt. There needs to be social activism on another scale that they've never seen before. And where media, we know their position on these issues. You know, if half our schools are liberal and they're graduating from these schools, and nearly 90% of all professors do not go to church, do not have a position on faith, a disciple is not greater than their teacher.
That's right.
And so when they go into these arenas, they carry, as our brother's already said, another God. They carry another ideology. They carry a very humanistic spirit. But what happens then, they cannot logically step back objectively and see wrong and see evil operating. And so therefore they choose not to address these issues. You cannot tell Don Imus to get off the radio and allow Planned Parenthood to continue unscathed. That is hypocrisy on its greatest level. You cannot indeed demand a position of integrity for our leaders. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the things that indeed that would be directed towards those of the conservative mindset? When we look at those of the liberal mindset, the things that media chooses to ignore. They're ignoring Planned Parenthood. Media is ignoring Planned Parenthood. Media needs to ask themselves, why do we ignore such blatant racism? Why do we ignore such gross injustice? Why do we ignore such depravity? Because we have children here, I will not discuss what was on that website. But how is it that no one holds them accountable? It is evil. Amen. And so I agree, unquestionably, it is a spiritual battle, because if we don't address it with our prayers, with our boldness, with our willingness not to compromise, this will continue to go unimpeded. Because right now, no, how can you give a nonprofit organization $337 million and gas is $4 a gallon? We have to deal with those who are ripping off the community due to an ideology that is decimating our black community and decimating our children practically each and every day. I bless you. I thank God for you. I don't know how much time I was supposed to take. But we have to understand that this is a gross injustice. And I have to challenge everyone. What part will you play in exposing these awful lies? What part will you play? They were getting on at the convention of the interfaith at the DNC. They were questioning the administration when it came to our prisoner treatment of our prisoners. And they were saying and complaining about the torture of soldiers. And they were complaining about the practices of how we will look to the world if we do not treat POWs with dignity and respect. Now, I'm not going to argue that. But why aren't, this is the DNC, why aren't you worrying about, right in Englewood, New Jersey, where there were 1,500 partial birth abortions performed in one city? We dismembered a child in the womb. We sucked the brains out of a baby. Well, how does that look to the world? Come on. How does that look to the world? That in your country, and not a word, nobody said nothing, but we got to treat the prisoners right. And I believe in fair treatment. But you can't hold me accountable if I'm trying to stop somebody from blowing up my home. Indeed, if I'm in danger, when you then ignore the execution of a live baby, and then you don't address your presumptive nominee on the fact that he will allow a child that survives an assassination attempt by an abortion doctor, he survives, the child survives, and you then say, let the child die. Well, how does that look to the world? How does that look to the nations? What about the integrity and the conscience of America then? And then there's this one. And I'll close on this one. And this is something you have to understand. You got to understand, where's the logic? Where's the logic? Where's your conscience in this? Now, I'm not here to discuss the war. I'm here to discuss the senators that said this. If I had known what I know now, I would not have voted to go to Iraq. Senator Clinton, if I'd have known what I know now, I would have voted against it. Schumer, New York, if I'd have known what I know now. Curry, if I'd have known what I know now, I would not have voted. We went to war on wrong information.
Yep, that's right.
That's what they said. We should not have gone. Now, you know, I'm Dr. Spock a little bit. Logically, I step back. I said, is that your reasoning? Can I go back to another war you started in 1973 on wrong information?
Yeah. Amen.
Can we just leave this for a second and go back a few years? Because there was a group of men that said, we do not know. In other words, we don't have the information. And we're listening to some panels that say they don't know, so we'll accept that. So in other words, we'll allow you to kill, to start a war in the womb of our women, in the womb, and you'll start your war and you'll decimate children, and we'll allow it to be because we have wrong information. We don't have the information we need to make the right decision. Well, Hillary, John, Eva Brock, all of you, if that's the case, we now know.
Yes, we do.
We now know. We got the right information now. You're worrying about 4,000, and God rest their souls and bless them, and I thank them for their sacrifice for this nation. But we're talking about 50 million here from 1973. We're talking about 50 million. Go back and make it right. You said you would take it back. You would change your vote. You'd have never voted to go. Well, you can change 1973 right now. You can fix that. You can fix that up right now because you went to war on the wrong information. Those judges knew that if we say we know when life begins, then we know we don't have the right, because that right comes from God. Our rights don't come from government. Our rights don't come from the state. We're endowed by the Creator. And since that's the case, you went to war on the wrong information. Make it right now using your logic.